It just won't stop you go.
LMA, boot up on GABZ FM, power to engage your world. You are an iconic. My name is Dolomac. Thank you so much for choosing us. I roll with Tebogo Mokoto in the building as we cross over to
Madagascar.
Madagascar now, yeah?
Yeah, Melusi's out in Madagascar, so he's joining us live from there this afternoon. Well, yeah, now, this is a developing story, of course, that we have tracked from the beginning when the region and most of the world was puzzled at a new policy by the United States to deport criminals across the world, sending them to countries that they do not originate or have any family ties in. Now, in Southern Africa, Eswatini became the first to be party to these deportations. Now, activists in Eswatini have said, not in our name. The SALC has helped us to keep you up to date as our listener in terms of this particular development. Now, joining us live from Madagascar, we are joined by SALC Human Rights Lead Melusi Simelane. Melusi, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to GABZ FM.
Thank you, Deboho. It's a pleasure to be back on GABZ FM.
How is Madagascar right now, man?
It's beautiful. It's sunny. But it looks like it might rain. But who's to know? It's a beautiful island. And we are happy that the SADC summit happened in this beautiful island. And that's the beauty of the SADC region, that it's about rotating. We must be able to visit all of our regional countries.
What are the people like?
They're lovely people. They speak French, so it's difficult to say. But they're lovely people.
Very well. Now that we've gotten that out of the way and understanding how Madagascar is, back to the gist of it, Melusi, we have reached a pivotal milestone in documenting this developing story as you've assisted us over the weeks. Before we get to that, though, take us through why we're at this stage right now.
I think the significance, and I must thank GABZ FM again for the opportunity, but the significance here is that we must remember that Africa is not the dumping ground for the global north. We are way past the times of colonization when the global north could do as they please. We cannot allow ourselves to be the dumping ground for their unresolved political issues. Now, let's remember that this conversation of deportations to third-party countries started with the United Kingdom when they were having this sort of deal with Rwanda. And we were watching this in the news. And then Trump came into power early this year. Then he deportees to his neighboring countries, El Salvador, Panama. And we've been watching this happen on the news. And we didn't anticipate that we would be drawn into this. And here we are with the plane that landed in Eswatini with these deportees. And we are taking a stance and we are saying we are not going to allow this to happen. And if it does happen, it must be dealt with openly. The democratic values of our constitutions must be respected. The sovereignty and the security must be respected.
Now, there is a court case that's supposed to be heard tomorrow in Eswatini. How important is this court case, and why does everyone in Southern Africa or across Africa need to pay attention and wait for the outcome?
Well, we have gone into the High Court to say, look, this agreement that the Eswatini government has gotten into is an agreement that was dealt with unconstitutionally. And we are arguing that for Eswatini to get into an international agreement, they must make sure that they get Parliament involved. Because remember, Parliament is the people's voice. They must make sure that we know what sort of international agreement we are getting into. And I think it's important for SADC to be involved in these matters. But the citizens, it's important for us to be involved in such conversations, because here we are having an issue of open democracy. We're having an issue of accountability being flawed by our governments. And we've seen this play out in different ways. And this has given us an opportunity to take a case like this to the courts of Eswatini to say, we are not going to allow our constitutions to be flawed. And therefore, we are going to take a stand and say, no, we're not going to allow this to happen because Parliament was not involved and the people were not involved. So it's about our democracy and our sovereignty.
Well, speaking to South African Litigation Centre Human Rights Lead Melusi Simelane. Now, Melusi, accountability is a key aspect of this case, where now the Prime Minister has been very reluctant to release information on this. What can you say here in terms of governance and accountability across SADC?
Well, it's a problem because you will see that democracy has been backsliding. We have seen from the election result in some of our countries in the region where you would have the SADC election observer missions declaring that elections are not free and fair, and then you will quickly hear other member states congratulating the winners in those countries. And we have seen the fight that came out of Mozambique after the recent elections where there was unrest, people were killed. And this gets to show that the issue of democracy and sovereignty and the issue of open governance and the issue of accountability is important. Now, of course, we must say that we were very happy to see the results that came out in Botswana, which was just another example where the people have said enough is enough. The liberation movements have done so much. It is time for the people to government. And I believe a case like this, a case that tests our democracy, a case that tests our constitutionalism is important because scholars have said that we may never know how strong our institutions are. We may never know how strong our constitutions are if we do not put them to the test. And this is exactly what we are doing here. We are testing the strength of our democratic institutions and we are testing the strength of our constitution. Because if we do not, then it might as well just be a piece of paper that our leaders are just going to ignore.
So tomorrow is a big hearing. What are you expecting or what do you hope for?
Well, tomorrow we're hoping that the court will at least hear our matter because just to highlight that tomorrow we will be hearing points of law. The merits are not going to be discussed tomorrow because the government have raised a couple of points of law where they are saying we've got no local standing. You know, the normal generals would do to try avoid getting to the merits of the case. So we are hoping that the courts are going to listen to our case to say that we as citizens of the country, we as civil society, we do have a right to hear what sort of agreements the government has gotten into because our foreign policy must indeed be aligned to our national interest.
Speaking of governance and accountability across Africa, Melusi, it has come to our attention that, of course, Uganda has agreed to some sort of deal with the United States to take deported migrants if they don't have criminal records. I mean, what's your reading into this, especially at the stage where Eswatini also, deals with this case?
I think this Toboho talks to the very problem that we're facing as an African people. You know, the African Union has said that this year alone, the theme of the African Union is about the justice for the African people and the diaspora. But then the question begs, where is the justice for our people if there's no open government? Where is the justice for our people if there's no accountability? We are already in conversation with lawyers and human rights defenders in Uganda who are saying they are shocked and they are hoping to learn from Eswatini in terms of how we are dealing with this. Because what they are seeing is quite shocking to them because even for them in Uganda, they know, and this is what the human rights defenders are saying, they know that their prison facilities are not up to standard in terms of bringing more people. So the question then begs, how can our governments constantly get into agreements with the global north when those agreements are not about the national interest? Because the national interest, we must remember, the national interest is never about whoever is in power. The national interest is about the people, and the people need to be consulted, and the people need to buy into these agreements. And I think it's a problem, and we are actually going to see a constant trend where, the United States of America is going to be striking these deals with a lot of our countries. And I think it begs the question of how strong our leadership is in Africa. And you are going to see that the weaker states, by weaker I mean in terms of weak democratic institutions, are the ones that are going to be allowing these people. And for the stronger democratic institution countries, we are not going to see this happen. So it's about time that we as the African citizens, we start looking seriously into the issue of open government and accountability and democratic value and democratic principles.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of really just reiterating this, Melusi, how important is it for us as SADC region nationals and, of course, people across Africa to pay careful attention to the specific case to really, either learn or also understand how much we have to take a stand when it comes to us holding the people that we've tasked or even hired to take care of our affairs
Absolutely, you're right. And I think you are speaking at a time where they have just wrapped up, the heads of state have just wrapped up their SADC summit here in Madagascar. And I think they might have missed an opportunity to discuss such issues. And therefore, as we are continuing here with civil society, we are putting it to them that these conversations are very important because Africa must reclaim its agency and refuse to be pressured in such arrangements. And therefore, other countries must not accept these deals, because if we continue to accept these deals, we risk becoming complicit in human rights violations. And it's a dangerous trend, and powerful nations are going to continue outsourcing their controversial policies to us. And therefore, as a region, we must stand together and say, we are not going to allow this, not in our name.
Human rights lead with the Southern African Litigation Center. Joining us live from Madagascar. Melusi, thank you very much for joining us. Please enjoy the beautiful Madagascar.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Take lots of pictures, bro.
Will do.
Have a good one.
Trust a lot of
It's GABZ FM, part to engage your world. Thank you so much to Melusi all the way out in Madagascar. I would love to visit Madagascar.
I would love
Yeah,
to. So
sounds like a good vibe, a good
I've been
island.
invited to the Seychelles by the tourism minister. Yeah.
But now it goes back to, let's go back to school, boy. Let's go back and learn French, boy.
Yeah.
Come on, boy. Come on.